Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. JM here, Jaymorz Collectibles. Today, I am feeling rather presidential, and not because it is President's Day, but because I will be talking about a very underrated set. Yes, I am talking about the latest set, Kaldheim. Now, seeing a lot of opinions out there, I can see that the overall player base stands 50-50 with the set. Well, where does JM stand? Well, I'm actually in favor of the set. And I'm not being biased when I say I love the overall theme. Just because I love Norse mythology and have a very strong affection towards the best video game ever, Valkyrie Profile, does not mean that I am not objective in this statement. Now, I know this is my first ever set release review video, and I kind of want to develop a structure moving forward, but today will be rather informal. Think of it as a Rudy Talks video. Well, to jump right into it, I think Kaldheim is a rather interesting set for many reasons. It acts as a pretty decent, well-balanced standalone set. It offers a lot to the player base, both new and old, and introduces new mechanics. Not just one, but two of them. And these mechanics offer a lot to different archetypes. So with that being said, it checks that category. Now, if you remember from my booster box videos, there are certain KPIs that I pay attention to. One of them is the value it adds to the main game. Where does Kaldheim stand? Well, with Rudy's latest video regarding the EV, the market adoption is actually higher than the previous sets. Believe it or not, there are some cards in there that offer interesting interactions with the main staple of the game. Namely, Mystic Reflections. People sleep on these cards because they're not seemingly powerful at first, such as Tybalt's Trickery, but cards like this add to the feel of Magic. Segueing from that topic, I believe Wizards is actually paying a lot more attention and going back in time and reviewing older sets to see what fails and what doesn't. A lot of the mechanics, creature type, and just overall interaction reminds me of the old school days of Lorwyn, the invasion block, and so forth, where creativity is not punished but rewarded. And people actually enjoy putting together decks that aren't just your top three in a Pro Tour. So it's funny how the dynamic of the R&D division sort of shifted. Not only that, Wizards has commissioned quite a bit of talent when it comes to the artwork. Namely, what I have right behind me in Reflections of Lajara. There are amazing artists that are commissioned for this very set. So, let's dig in a little deeper. Well, what else does Kaldheim have to offer? Well, you have your snow-covered lands, you have your tribal synergies, you have your instants that are probably up there in the power level. Where does it go from there? Well, the EV for the set for a normal draft booster box currently stands at $60 per box. The previous sets are anywhere from $30 to $50. Kaldheim is behaving in an interesting way with the market adoption. If you take a look at the TCG player listings, or what I like to use, MTG stocks, you'll notice that there are a lot less bulk rares. And I would say about 50% of the rares, maybe even more, actually have some sort of value derived from the main game. So the EV that Rudy is sort of playing down upon is not so abysmal in the bigger picture. Which brings me to this topic. When looking at sets overall, especially in the standard era of Magic, again, not the hottest market right now, and a lot of attention is looking the other way. Where others see misfortune, I see opportunity. I like to judge the opportunity by taking a macroeconomic approach versus micro. A lot of the YouTubers out there look at daily swing charts and moving averages, but that's not what I should convey in my videos. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You should wait at least 2 weeks after release to see how the market adoption works, because that's the key to determining a good set from another. That being said, I do like to understand fundamentals of the set, the mechanics, and also I take a look on eBay, TCG player listings, Facebook market groups to understand how the market is reacting towards that one particular set. And a lot of people are discovering a lot of hidden treasure within the set. As we got closer to the actual release date, a lot of the high-profile reviewers, as well as the avid player base, began to realize and discover new cards worth of value that they would include in the top 10 and shuffle them out. Players are slotting these cards in many, many different decks, hence the demand for the product. So with that being said, I would not take a micro approach when investing in Standard, especially Standard where there's reprint equity. Now on that note, a lot of the cards that are sort of niche to the theme of Kaldheim sort of act like a pseudo reserve list. So my closing remarks for this set review video would be, I think Wizards of the Coast is actually on the right direction for future releases. I think they're understanding the player-based needs and wants and fulfill them in a very harmonistic way. I think they offer a lot to the new player base as well as the old school player base as well, and they offer interesting mechanics in the set that may actually see play in the very distant future. Interestingly enough as well, the cards in the set in the uncommon slots, as well as the rares and mythics, of course, actually see positions in decks, not only in Standard, but possibly Modern as well. So overall, there's a lot of appeal for this one particular product. So the other remark I'd like to make is, of course, in the Standard era of Magic the Gathering, you have your three options: your collector booster boxes, your draft boxes, and your set booster boxes. So which do you go for? Well, that's a very good question, and I will say proof is in the pudding. I purchased a case of set booster boxes. I am not a fan of collector boxes, as I believe they are just a novelty item to a niche market. And so when you are dealing with collectibles and unregistered assets, your audience or your market is the most important thing to also consider. So with that being said, I don't want to limit myself to one particular demographic, especially within Magic the Gathering. So always go for either stuff that you can open in masses, which is set booster boxes, or draft. I went with set because I just like the list in every booster pack. It adds a little bit of spice that some people may be looking for and others may not, but you still have quite a bit of cards from the set you're buying into. So with that being said, where do I see Kaldheim in the future? Well, that's a very good question as well. I think Kaldheim is too early to tell. Obviously, I'm not a clairvoyant wizard. I am just your hobbyist of the game and an investor as well. And I would say Kaldheim is sort of like the Kaladesh of Standard right now. Of course, looking back at the other sets, you have some competition with Commander Legends, which I also have a case of. So, both performing pretty well. Both, I believe, will actually be appreciating in the near future, which is interesting. But again, that's just my opinion of it. Take it as you will. And don't always fall for the EV. I believe Rudy has said that in the past, and I'm not really sure where he's falling in this year. So with that being said, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video has provided an interesting perspective on the new set Kaldheim and many more to come. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Jaymorz Collectibles.